Good evening, everyone. Switch on Weir. As always, streaming with my friends. And I have to admit, yesterday's stream in the Smash and Pass was quite epic. Um, I was a bit disappointed that Koval didn't show up. I mean, I know how much he loves Smash and Pass. And I was expecting maybe that Hayden, he really preferred to Smash or Pass type of stream. And I was like, well, I did post the link to Discord yesterday, and he showed up in like middle of the whole stream. What's going on? And well, at least one of my friends did have a bit of um, connection problem, which was Game Guy, and it's not like the first time he had this well connection problems with his Wi-Fi or so. Yeah, it happens to almost anyone though. But it was yeah, it was well, it was fun to do the Smash and Pass we had yesterday. Other from Game Guy had this connection problem, but then Hayden showed up, and boy, that was ah goodness, that was good. That was so freaking hilarious. Speak of the devil, Mr. Red Tomato is here.
Mm.
Well, let's hope that you don't have any problem today, like yesterday. Tired?
Mm. Yeah.
You didn't get much sleep, did you?
Nope.
Hmm. Well, I did. At least a few hours, and I even took a nap before. And that phone is
I
just
am
finished.
going to fucking throw this fucking piece of fucking fuck out the fuck.
Oh man, that was just fun. Yeah, that was just even especially the reaction you have your when your phone went off when memorial stream we did it for Cody. That was yeah, that was something.
I don't. I legitimately don't think that I've ever been that mad about something.
Ah man.
Because it was an important stream, you know? Like, I wanted to talk about
Hmm.
my buddy. And then my phone said, fuck you, you're not gonna do that.
I actually even saw Praise Chaos had his own stream about Cody about 2 days ago. I think he had invited what was it, 3 or 4 people for my birthday. Instead for Pinkie Pie and Starlight. Can you have Starlight and Twilight true siblings story? Yeah, pretty much. I think I can do that. I don't think that wouldn't be much a problem.
Well, hold on a second. You can't have them be true siblings. They're not siblings.
They can actually be siblings, adopted.
I guess you can. I guess you can make them siblings, but like
I mean, like for
not in the
example,
the show. They're not. So it's like
no, no, that's true, but it's like in a G5, Sip and Pip, they are true siblings, they are siblings biologically. But if their mom and Misty's dad, Applebetter, would get married, that would make Misty their stepsister. And eventually, if Applebetter wanted to legally adopt Sip and Pip, it would make Misty their adopted stepsister, or how that even work? But in my stories, I know that's gonna be for true sibling. You can be foster sibling, it can be adopted sibling, it can be step siblings. It can even be um, maybe like say if like say Family Lane would adopt say um, Sweetie Belle as a sibling to Rumble. I have seen this type of stories of manga type stories where a guy usually had end up adopting um, his late friend's daughter as his own child. So in a sense, but if I had to just go for just siblings in the main six, there's only a few of them that actually has a sibling: Twilight, Rarity, Applejack, Pinky, Fluttershy. Rainbow is the only one that has no way even have a sibling. But if I had to say, the closest thing to a sister to Rainbow Dash, if I would make a story, is Scootaloo. Because Scootaloo had actually, even in the show, considered Rainbow as a big sister. Even though not related, but I can see them as potentially as sisters, or at least the sister role. Because now these days it is actually very common for people to see their close friend, like say if you had a best friend that you grew up with, same age, and you are very close, you can see almost like a brother. Or if you have a female friend, you can see them either as a sister or maybe as a cousin of some sort. Like having kind of this feeling of being close. And I thought maybe that is as for my future true friend story, true sibling stories. But if I had to just go for only as biologically related siblings from, like say, only from the G4, there's plenty of them. But if we like a G5, that's only like only one pair of siblings, which is only Sip and Pip. Because the rest of the other characters of the main six don't even have a sibling. Sunny is the only one in her family. So I thought, why not? And in fact, the next true sibling story that I have made is about Sparky. And that Hitch had been to Isle Scaly or Dragonlance, and he adopted a teenage or a preteen dragon as an older brother to Sparky. It is kind of how but the thing is, if you remember, you may have not even seen, since you hadn't even seen much of the G5, but in G4, long before in early seasons when dragons first started to appearing in it, ponies were terrified of dragons, except for Spike, since he was just a baby dragon. But eventually, the dragons were eventually became their close allies, along with the Jacks and all that. But the thing, in the G5, dragons had almost been forgotten. Like just from in the distant past, only like a few hundred years earlier, dragons were a very common thing in Equestria. But in G5 timeline, at least the before Sparky's egg had hatched and all, dragons had been from a very common sight to mere legend or a myth. They have been considered just only stories. because the dragons had even been seen in Equestria for generations. But after Spark's egg had hatched, it gave them an indication that dragons were real. So many had wondered, what about why hasn't the dragons? Well, dragons itself is a very interesting concept of a creature. Like Mean had Starlight looked through the Twilight old family photos and she found out that her dad is Twilight's mom's brother, which would make them cousins. That makes sense. And look, Mr. Greenbag. Or not even other place. Man, it wasn't getting warm though. There we go.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been trying to make more of those planes on Perchance.
But well, like I mentioned, if we have it to say of the two siblings in G5, they're all like Sip and Pip. The rest of the characters that we know of listed from my scene, there aren't not much any other siblings, at least. But there is actually one in a G4 near the end. It was confirmed. Lyra and Bonbon, or Sweet Drops, is in a relationship. But then we had Scootaloo's aunt and her partner as a couple. But in the series, there was never like an actual male couple in the G4, other from those two students from Kentall High School. But there is only one known confirmed gay couple in a G5. There are two Earth ponies. They even adopted a unicorn boy named Ferris. I think it's actually about time they actually did that. If you think about it, the series started back in 2010, at least the G4. There were no couples of like the same gender couple or even close to that, but many characters like say Lyra and Bonbon, Vinyl and Octavia had almost right away being considered as potential as same couple. Because it was later confirmed that Lyra and Bonbon lived together. Same thing as for Vinyl and Octavia. Many started assuming that both of those four ponies were a couple. But for months, for years, it was just still unconfirmed. But until season 9, towards the end, there was only one of the second official confirmed couple of a lesbian couple in G4. I mean, I even remember from that episode when Vinyl, Bonbon, and Lyra proposed to each other and even got married near the end of one of the last episode of the series. I was like, okay, plot twist. And so when that happened, fans probably like, wait a minute, what about the Bonbon or Vinyl and Octavia? I mean, they're like roommates, so aren't they dating or anything? They lived in the same house. Well, they aren't even dating at all. but just roommates. I mean, many may have wondered, like, say, why couldn't, I mean, many wondered, like, probably, like, why couldn't Vinyl and Octavia be as a couple? I mean, they lived in the same house, but many fans probably think they could even work together due to the fact that their type of preferred music of Vinyl for her pop and hip hop style music, and well, Octavia for her classical music. I mean, it's two types of music styles that clashes against each other, like complete opposite. But it necessarily, despite if they had two taste of music, it doesn't necessarily mean they couldn't even work together. Even though the interior inside, half of the house was designed for classical music, one for even for Vinyl's pop music style. So it doesn't really mean that it didn't couldn't work. What do you guys think? Do you think that Vinyl and Octavia could actually be in a couple and just never? Or at least, do you think there was any indication that they were dating in Slice of Life?
Mm, maybe not.
Yeah, since even though they did interact it directly face to face in that episode, were in their own home, when Octavia she was asked to perform the music, uh, the part of music for performed at the wedding, but she had played the same classical music march so many times, and it was like she was getting tired of that. So Vinyl, as her friend and also roommate, she wanted to do something to help Octavia with that. So she tried to add its own little bit of hip or at least a pop or hip hop style in the classical to make it more lively. It's kind of surprising that if that happens, considering how vinyl is. But when I first when I first saw Slice of Life was gonna happen, and right from the main six as a focus on, but for some background characters like Vinyl and Octavia and a few others, including Derpy. When I saw that Vinyl and Octavia were in a series, when Octavia was talking, when she went home, she saw that Vinyl was already home, practicing her DJ skills and all. I was expecting that Vinyl would finally talk, but did she? Never. Not a single word, not even a single peep. It's just disappointing that. But there was one statement, or at least some phrasing from Doctor Who's. Like he had been fascinated by magic for his entire life. It's like he had been studying it for centuries, which makes it impossible because he's an Earth pony. But yeah, it's kind of a strange of when Vinyl and Octavia have more screen time just by them in that slice of life episode. I was expecting that Vinyl could have at least a few speaking lines. But to my disappointment, no single at all. But she is talking, but only in the comics, not in the actual series. Not even the human version of herself was even talking. And especially when did this one Equestria Girl short when she is walking down the street into this cafe, not Sugarcube Corner, but some different name on it, and she when Miss Cake asks her what she wants to buy, and she only points or something, and then she just does, and she's buy pay for it and all. I'm not actually a bit disappointed that Vinyl never talks in any of the series, like not in the movie or in the actual series or even in the Quest Girls.
Maybe they want her to be as a steam focused on what I what I enjoy, but not but barely ever speak type of characteristic.
I mean, it's possible. But I mean, considering that Vine, even though their roommate Octavia, she also had a appeared in throughout this G4 series several times. Even though some of them she never talked, but in a few of those episodes she did talk. Well, when when Octavia or Vinyl happened to reappear appearing in the series, not a single word from her. Many fans assumed that she was mute, that she could even talk. But in the comics, she do talk, but not in the actual series. That is a bit disappointing though. But it is so that when they had Derpy, but there is another thing. Derpy or Derpy Hooves is her fan name. In the actual series, she was even known as Derpy. She was only known as Muffin.
Could you blame them? She loved eating muffins.
True, and the most of the thing is that also,
And
if you think of,
and I could have sworn at one point they referred to her a little bit as Bubbles because that's where her cutie mark particularly was.
yeah, and that's another thing about it. If you think about it, some of the characters' name is a reference to their cutie mark. But the thing is, when they are born, they are being named to something, to a certain name, and that can be way before they even had the cutie mark. Like Big Macintosh, he had a big apple as a cutie mark, and he was named after that. But I mean, it doesn't like Apple Bloom or some merchandise for about Apple Bloom. She's named Apple Blossom, not Apple Bloom. But then that's the thing about it.
Boo!
Somebody, but that is the also thing about it. Some of the names of the different characters, like in Apple Family, every single family member has been named something about apples, like Apple, Bad Seed, or Grand also. But in Twilight's family, it is something not had even been that. Because Shining Armor, his name has no reference to anything like Matt would do. That has nothing to do with magic.
But
But her
here's a
parents are.
but here's a catch though. And I want you to think about this. You say their names are reference to their cutie marks. Shine Armor would be particularly named after knights. Had a knight themed name, and they do carry shields, which is what his cutie mark was.
Yes, but that's the thing. I mean, that is just a point of that. I mean, they're naming their child or their foal after they're born with a name that does a reference. But that is just before they even had a cutie mark. I mean, Shining Armor, he was named Shining Armor before he even had his cutie mark. It's almost like the parents can even predict. But it's not like some characters who had a name. But here's the thing though. Some of the characters may had a name and the cutie mark, or at least had something to do with apples or maybe fashion or something. But if you're like saying, even if the Shining Armor, wait, Shining Armor's old friend who wasn't in Royal Guard but eventually retired became an artist. So, an example, like if his friend had a shield as a cutie mark and he were a Royal Guard or something, and eventually he retires or just quit as a guard and became something else, maybe a farmer, or a cutie mark won't even change.
Hmm.
That's another thing. I mean, even though that some of the characters in G4, when they had a cutie mark, even though they represent one thing, but they're doing something else, like complete sometimes opposite from what that cutie mark even represent. I mean, but something like, okay, first of all, how that's even possible for they doing something complete opposite? Well, I mean, it's possible that it could be a career change, like it's not like Shining Armor's friend. He used to be a guard, but then became an artist. It does that. Even if you like Shining Armor, even if he has a shield as a cutie mark, he's no longer captain of the Royal Guard, but now he's more like like the prince of the Crystal Empire on with Cadence. It's like say if say if Twilight would have a cutie mark that represent that's her star, but also with a book that itself it doesn't really, or if she had a book with maybe some stars around it, what would that even represent? Well, many fans can interpret that as a different meaning, like she might actually be an author, or she could be a librarian, or she maybe just like to read books.
She
Sometimes it
also
can,
sh- there's one other possibility, an astronomer.
exactly, because even though that the book and a few stars, or even that the big star with and a book in front of it, it doesn't necessarily mean had to do something about because when you mark would had a book, it can represent almost any potentials. Like she can either be an author, she can be a librarian, or maybe even just be working something about books. She could even be a teacher. And as for Pinkie Pie's cue mark, those three balloons, she is a party planner in Ponyville. And but that's not a thing. Her cue mark can not only be represent for planning parties, but it can also represent for happiness or just for fun. Or as a cheese sandwich. His cue mark is a cheese sandwich symbol. And even though he is a party planner like Pinkie, but it has nothing to do with anything what he's doing has nothing to do with like food. He only plans for like big parties, like balloons, maybe a big cake or something, but not much of that because when some fans when they see his cue mark and his character without knowing if he is in within a party planning like Pinkie, fans may like or new fans would assume that he is a chef, a cook, or it has something to do with cooking, or anything that involves food. Is that just another sometimes where how people can thinking, read this cue mark with the three diamonds. That can also sometimes be a little bit mislead. I mean, she isn't in a fashion, but diamonds cannot only be part of the fashion because some clothes have gems or pearls or something like that in it. But the gems can also represent something else. Like she can be a jeweler, she can be a jewel, she can be a designer of jewelry, or even work as a jeweler that she sells, or she can even be a dealer that she buys and sells gems. Is another thing about that. But there is the one also that the Q mark, CMC's Q marks. They look almost identical except for one piece that's a slight different. And so even when you're seeing a character having a Q mark, but sometimes they are just representing completely different what they are supposed to be. Like Steve Sandwich. His cue mark is a cheese sandwich symbol, and he's a party planner. But his cue mark that is just a sandwich, and it has nothing to do with cooking or involves with food. So sometimes fans may have to be a bit mislead, or at least sometimes may wonder, even though the fact that the character has one cue
Maybe
mark.
maybe growing up he was a good cook in his family.
I mean, it's possible. I mean, if I remember, at least I think what was happened that Pinky, when she was just as a filly, had moved to Ponyville, and at that time, she is also around the same age, had actually went to Ponyville as a colt, and he saw her performing, and that was get what made him to have his cue mark. I believe it was around the time that happened. But it's somewhat that like I'm trying to say is the fact that despite of how many characters have so many different cue marks, but some of the cue marks don't have doesn't even add up to their well to like some of the professional like cheese sandwich. Even though he may have nothing to do with anything about cooking, but it's possible he could have done it, cooked some with his family back in Manhattan. But it just or cute or about uh, what about like say Coastal Glow, her cutie mark.
Uh,
That
uh, uh, uh.
that is not a thing because her cutie mark looks like a tower or a chess piece. That is not also how you could interpret it what it was supposed to represent or what he got
Maybe
it from.
maybe if it maybe it was a chess piece, but if that's the case, then maybe she was born to be a villain. Because if it was Chrysalis and Tarek's partial plan to take over the question from the World Sisters in the main six, particularly they need someone else, and Cozy Glow would have been the pawn in helping with their plan.
Well, true. I mean, still, even though Coastal Glow's cue mark could have been represented for, she could have been that she liked to play chess or maybe something else. Well, well, well. Aren't you here now, Kubo the bad old lady?
Hi, what's up? I'm here. Hello, hi.
Old lady, ha, my ass. He doesn't even look like he has a shade of gray.
No, he just dyed his fur. That's why he looks brown. But like I said, um, uh,
Cool, you would not have wanted to be
Oh my
here
god, it's
yesterday.
Gohu the bad boy.
Cool, you would not have wanted to be here yesterday. He was just erecting his dick all over the place.
yeah. But speaking of on what I mentioned about the Coast Glow, her cue marker, it's hard to determine what they're gonna be representing. I mean, it looks like a tower or a chess piece. It's possible that she could have loved to play chess with her parents when she was younger, when she got it, or maybe it also could be might also be possibility that she got the cue mark just before she moved to Ponyville with her family, and that they could represent her mastermind of her planning for how to steal and become the new main leader of the whole country or something. I mean, it's just not really certain what that could be represent. It's just but Fluttershy's cue mark with the three butterflies. She got that one when she saw the butterflies when she was just very young, and for her um, um, especially for her passion for and love for animals, regardless. Oh, bye, Monica. Regardless if there's mammals, reptiles, or even insects. And that's the same thing as for but like I mentioned, the CMC's cue mark. They look very almost identical, except they're only one piece in each one that has different. So it's a little bit mystery as to what those cutie marks could even represent. And he's back. But there is one thing. I had assumed that even the zebras could even get a cutie mark, but apparently they do have. But I'm curious. If you may have seen Sakura's cutie mark, what the heck does
I hate technology.
Welcome to club.
Oh, geez.
But
A second game guy just showed up.
no, that's Malachite.
Oh,
Kobo?
so, yeah, I said that because
I have
because
one very
Joji's
serious
game guy who
question
says
for
that.
you. How far up your ass would you like the pogo stick
I
to be
beg your
shoved?
pardon.
What?
Oh no,
What?
you're gonna have to ask Gulu.
Wait, what?
You heard what I said. You have 2 ears that aren't deaf.
Yeah, exactly. See now, lion.
Tch.
Hey, look at that speech.
But I never said that.
First it's Girls Gone Saggy, then it's Girls Gone Senile, and then it's just Girls Gone.
Oh, hardly need one of them. I have no response to that.
Jeff
But,
Dunn, Sparkman Sadie.
Neither do I.
That makes sense. But
I at least have an excuse of I've never even watched him before.
But in Cole's case, it's a spark of chaotic senile lying insanity.
but yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
you're a hard ass.
By the way, is Kofo's mic really low, or is that just me?
no, he just doesn't talk much. Kubo, what were you yesterday?
Your
Actually,
mic's a little low.
Yesterday I went out with my mother. I went to the cafe, to Tim Horton.
God damn it, Yoshi.
that makes sense because I was expecting that you would show up in the yesterday's Smash and Pass and like, where is that furball?
Yes, sorry, I couldn't be there.
There was only one pony. Don't worry about it.
I'm actually even.
And also,
I'm Sandy Porter.
and also, Space, I want to mention this a little bit. You mentioned Fluttershy with her Q mark a little bit ago, and you said some of them were probably named before they had their particular Q marks, and like had them, they were named after things. Fluttershy, I don't think was named after a particular thing, but in this particular case, I would have to say it was probably a movement because you say it was butterflies. Listen, look at her name. It's Fluttershy. Her name partially relates to a movement done by butterflies because they flutter their wings quite a lot.
Yeah, but that's another thing about it. We don't even know exactly how the naming process, how that works in that society. I mean, in our society, we can only come up with a first name, a middle name, and that also depends on the last name. If, let's say, if the mother has one last name and the father has a different last name, but if you're in, like, say, living in Japan, and let's say if Kubo lived in Japan, and if he get married to a woman there, she will take his last name. It's a very, very common that they don't even have 2 different last names. They have same last name. And if they would be in the divorce, she will go back to her maiden name. And if you live there in Japan and you were, say, if you had a friend who lives in Japan and they don't even usually going only responding to the last name. When you refer to someone, it's always by the last name, not the first name. Even if you're a classmate or even a neighbor, always speaking by the last name. But that is not a thing. If Scuba has seen some anime, um, when in Japan, they are usually referring someone at the name like, say, let's say if game guy's name would have been, say, Adam, he would have been referred as Adam Son or Adam Kun. Kun or Son is usually added as a part of their how they pronounce more with honorifics, as it's called. As for females in Japan, what that is Shan or also San as part of it. So they're referring in Japan when they're talking to each other, even if they're neighbors, they're always referring each other by their last name. But if you were over to someone's home and you had a friend that the family shared the same last name, and if you refer to someone, um, well, um, especially if you were a classmate of someone in the family and you've had someone else who maybe had an older brother or older sister, but then, yeah, who are you referring to if you say the last name? And Code is here. Whoops, wrong one. Code Lane. I mean, it says, okay, first of all, Kobo, Cody Darkhawk can't join in because he's dead, you know?
Yeah, I did not expect to hear that news when I heard it.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, often in Japan society, when um, they have their own version of how to pronounce or speaking to each other, always speaking with the last name. But if you're or in fact married or in a relationship with someone, then you can speak with um, the first name. But if you were happen to say if you Kubo did like someone in Japan and you were there and said in Japanese like I like you, that woman or man, depending on what if you prefer it like that, they would assume like you actually romantically like them. Unless if you're saying, I like you, but as a friend to start with. But if you say, I like you, that person will like, wait, doesn't he like romantically likes me? As an example. Oh, wow. Cody's sister has her fifth baby this August. Wow.
Oh shit!
Well, Cody, my sister, she has 5 kids already, and she isn't planning anymore. Well, technically, she was expecting her sixth baby about a few months ago, but sadly, she lost the baby though in a few weeks. Yeah, she was like, um, if I remember, she told me that she was about 13, 14 weeks along when she lost a baby that I mean, it just sometimes it happens. My brother, by the other hand, doesn't even have any kids yet. Even though he wanted at least one child, but his girlfriend, yeah, not really. At least not at the moment, though. He's gonna be 31, I believe, this year, and she is wow. She is at least a few years younger than him, but I don't even remember. Hard to it's a little bit harder to keep a track on how many people in your family, you know. Oh man, that's gonna be it. For me, especially my family though. My mom celebrates her 60th birthday this in as long as. But neither of my parents are working anymore. Both retired. Speaking of retired, um, there was actually this old lady. This is also something my dad read a few years ago. She was working as a taxi driver in Stockholm, in Sweden, though. She was like 50, she was even in her 60s, she was even in her 70s. She was between 90 and 95 years old and still working as a taxi driver. That's insane. For your question, Cody, um, having Mark Hamill as Grugar as being voice for it, that would have been pretty cool. Um, but yeah, and as in Sweden, um, working age to be retired is, I believe, from 65 to 67 years old, but you can still working even past that, depending on the profession, what you're doing. Um, as as for your question to having Mark Hamill as the make the voice for as a villain as Grugar, well, it might be surprising. Mark Hamill actually had played as a bad guy in uh, one series from one season, Criminal Minds. He was only known as the Replicator because he was duplicating past crimes. As Joker, honestly, I don't know. Um, this might be a surprising. Harley Quinn from the when she first appeared in the animated Batman series back in the 90s. She was only supposed to be only one-time character in that series. She was only supposed to be only one like a just only a one-time background character, like a temporarily sidekick for Joker. But it didn't play out as what many fans thought of, because if she hadn't even been, if that was only for just one time, she would even have been continued throughout the years that she had, like in the Suicide Squad or any other movies or games. She could have been replaced with, I don't know, Poison Ivy or someone else. But
And another
personally,
thing, uh, and the other thing I wanted to mention with aside from Fluttershy was there is one character who I don't think was named after a certain thing, but because I don't think her cutie mark she was named after anything particular related to her cutie mark, and that would be Minuet, Twilight's blew up unicorn friend who had the hourglass cutie mark.
true. But that's another, like I said, they are off when they are born, they are given the name, but since the cure mark only happens to appear when they're like in elementary or maybe middle school, depending on the age. It's like they already given the name long before the cure mark had even happened to appear. So how could the parents even? But here's the thing: even if they had a name, but sometimes they can't get the cue mark doesn't even match the name either. Like say Shining Armor, he could still have been named Shining Armor, but his last name his cue mark couldn't even have been a shield. It could have been a painting brush or perhaps a fry pan, but still been working as a knight or a guard. It's news to that. It wouldn't have the meaning that despite the name, it doesn't have to match up with the Q mark either. And some of that, it's just how the things are. Man, it's also that, like I said, their society, how they name things, it's sometimes something doesn't match up the cue marks that we're supposed to be representing. It's like say, it's like Scootaloo or Sweetbell. Many fans before the cue mark, even before the CMC had cue mark, many fans made Sweetbell having a singing note or a music note as a cue mark, or even a bell based on the fact of her name as Sweetie Belle. Same thing as one for Apple Bloom. Same many for that. Before she even had her official cue mark, even early season, many assumed that her cue mark would have something to do with apples, as a reference to her older brother Big Mac, which has a big apple. Same for Applejack, Granny Smith, and some other Apple family has an other something with apples as a cue mark. I actually seen this fan made dub where Apple Bloom did get her cue mark, but has nothing to do with apples, and that her family kicked her out, even when she was still like elementary age or something. So even would her family kicked her out, even if she had a cue mark that has nothing to do with apples. I mean, it's not necessarily. It's like Deering Do. She has a cue mark that looks like a compass, and that is another thing about having a cue mark like Daring Do's compass. It can't be determined how to determine or interpreted what they could represent. It can have been it could have been like she's a map reader. She could have been an adventurer, or maybe just simply being a scout, or maybe she could have been a navigator for a big ship. That is sometimes how to interpret a character's cue mark can represent before we even know about it. It's like Steve Sandwich. He had a sandwich as a cue mark, but he's a party planner like Pinky. So that is just one of some of the things. But many fans, if many new fans have started watching the G4, even though the series is ended, when they first appearing to sing She Sandwich cue mark, okay, this would right away assume has something to do with cooking. That's not a thing. As for Pinkies, she has three balloons as a cue mark. And as we know, she is a party planner. But the thing is, that may not even have to determine of her being as into party. It can be that she likes balloons, that she is a skill to come to make balloon figurines, balloon animals, or it could be that she's a party planner, or she just likes to party. Not even if she likes party, but not involves to throwing parties her own, or like rarities, 3 diamonds, or is it 4 diamonds, or but her cue mark with those diamonds.
She has
Many of
3.
them, yeah, okay, that's free, but that we know for a fact that she is into fashion, because in fashion they use diamonds, emeralds, rubies, etc. in designs, including the pearls. But many would assume that with her 3 diamonds cue mark, if anyone had, even though before if people, before they realize or at least learn her true occupation, assuming that when they seeing her cue mark, okay, there had to be something with gems, like she could be a jewel designer, or she can be working at a jewelry store, or she could even be a dealer in that she buys and sells gemstones That is a reference to her Q mark of 3 diamonds. It's sometimes hard to interpret of a character's Q mark, even if it does like before we knowing it. Or like Rainbow Dash Q mark with its cloud and the rainbow colored lightning. That's another on it. Before we know for a fact that it could also be determined what it could represent. Like even though that she's a lightning, that she's a wonderbolt, well, think about it. It can also represent that she is a fast flyer, or when she's fast, that makes a lightning or streak that when she flies fast, it creates a line of rainbow colored after from her tail. But the cue mark in sometimes in different characters when it can be a little bit difficult to determine what they represent, or at least to determine or how other people interpret it. For example, my OC's cue mark has a heart and a quill or a feather pen. Oh, bye Malachite. And he has some connection problem. So he might be back soon. But yeah, my OC's cue mark was as a heart and the feather pen or a quill. It can be represent for that represents from my
I'm back.
passion. Okay, so my OC's cue mark represents for the passion for making love stores. But my OC's old cue mark had a lightning bolt, but that was before that. That was where back in 2015. But then, and now is my OC's new cue mark has this heart symbol with the feather, the quill, to represent for my passion for making stores. And I have been making stores even before I started on the internet. I have been doing stores since I was back in 8th grade. But those stories was never online. They were mostly on paper. But most of those stories are either being thrown away long ago. I did actually made a. I was actually even working on a book that the book was about 5 or 6 teenagers. They were transported on a spaceship and they were like trapped there. I mean, they could walk around, but they couldn't even go home because the ship was programmed to follow a pre-programmed course or a path. But eventually they returned. And the thing is, I actually did work on the book until like 17 chapters. But then that's the thing what happened. And around that time, when I was working on the book, this happened. The fact there was this virus, a computer virus, was spreading around in Sweden at the time. This was a virus that could lock your computer. It literally blocked your access to the computer entirely. Hang on. Kubo sounds a little bit loud, so I will lower it a bit. There we go. Basically, this particular virus, what happened, if people had their computer completely locked, it appeared that it was sent by the police, that the police had locked your computer and you had to pay $1,000, like 1,000 for had it been unlocked. But how does it, because that virus said that you have been doing some really shady stuff. like looking into really highly bad crimes stuff. And I was unfortunately happened to be given that virus. But in order to have it removed, my dad had to erase the entire hard drive. In the process, the book that I was working on, like I mentioned, was completely erased. And as a stupid, I never even thought of it. I never saved a backup of it on a flash drive. So after 17 chapters in the book, it was completely gone forever. And somebody, but some people will like me say, "Why? I mean, you could just remake it from scratch." Well, that's the problem. I don't even remember much about this, the dialogues or much of the events on the series in that book. So I never remade it. That was a big problem. And Malachi is back, I think. Yep. Yep. And Athena is in the comments. But there was even the second type of virus that also was spreading in Sweden some almost less than 10 years ago. There was a different virus, but this one, well, let's say it was a bit weird. It was just that you could get an email from a person. This person said you had to pay $117 unless that we release some certain videos to your friends and family where you have been surfing looking at porn that they recorded that was recorded on their camera on their computer. But the problem is not only Sweden was affected by this type of virus or some scam or whatever it is. There were some cases even in United Kingdom. But from what I heard, the thing is, there were even people that who got this email from this scam group or causing virus. There were in fact even people that didn't even have a web camera on the computer. Like normally, laptops has a camera that's built into it, but desktops they don't. So people who can get this email actually never even had, may not have actually even been on porn sites, but still get this email. Luckily for me at this time, I didn't get it. Even if I did, yeah, I would just ignore it. It's just scams. But if you were having, so like if you had a relative, like say an elderly person, say from 70 to almost 90 years old, or perhaps even 100, and if he or she would get a call claiming to be their grandchild having a desperate need of money, don't tell your family if they do that, don't fall for it. And they probably should ask, what is your name? If their name doesn't match, they should hang up immediately. Unfortunately, that type of scam was quite common in my country for the past few years. It was known as the Grandchild League. There was actually uh, one of those news. There was this person claimed to be a grandson to an older lady. She was like 80, I believe it was between 80 or 89 years old. She got a call from a young man claimed to be her grandson that saying like his friend has a problem with his car, and that his friend and he supposed ask his grandmother if she could send some money, give his friend some money so he had to fix the car. But but the thing is, unfortunately for most elderly who get this type of call or even visit from the supposed grandchild being scammed and robbed. But this lady, after the call ended, she called her grandson right away, and the fact was a scam from the first call. She never actually sent it, and from what I understand, the person never even showed up. But there is also some cases in Sweden that the were fact people dressed as actual officers, fake officers, walked in. One distracted the old lady or an old man, while the other one walked around, took pieces of some like cards, some maybe loose cash around, or maybe jewelry. But happens. But in Scandinavia, I believe like Sweden, Norway, Denmark, and Finland, there is the one thing that's very common, but have been happening for several years now, and that is road pirates. It's not like a typical pirate thing. It's like some you may think, like the back in the 1700s or 1600s, that type of pirates. But this type of pirates, or at least road pirates, in Sweden, in some most stories has been told that there can be people stopped on the side of the road, or at least okay, not highways, but more like maybe other type of roads, asking for help with getting some gas to the car. Then in exchange, they will get some other jewelry, gold necklace, and other things, or sometimes even a fur coat. But turns out they were fake all along. There's even one case of what I heard that there was these two young ladies literally was chased by a freaking van in high speed, but they managed to get away from those people. Yeah, so if you if none of you or family or friends have a scam call, immediately hang up. Block the number right away. I actually a few months ago actually did receive a call, an overseas call, but I blocked it. They called me, I called them up, but nothing. There was like no response, so I blocked the number. I believe even Game Guy might be familiar with this type of scam, the Nigerian prince scam. Are you, Game Guy? And let's see, even there. Great. Kubo,
Yes.
have you ever heard of the Nigerian prince scam?
No.
What? Seriously? I thought you even laced for once. Cody, have you ever heard of the Nigerian prince scam? What? Malachite. Malachite. Have you ever heard of that? I thought at least some people now these days have probably heard about it. Seriously? Yeah, that's it's literally this advanced freeze scam. this was very common conference trick. Um, let's go see here. Um, it's also known as the 419 scam. Is FBI states that an advance fee scheme occurs when the victim pays money to someone in a petition for receiving something of greater value, such a loan, contract, investment, or gift, then they will receive little or nothing in return. There are many variants of this type of scam, including the Nigerian prince. Um, let's see here. Well, it's just well, it's basically about that happened, but it was usually in let's see here. This type of modern scam dates back to late 18th century, but more recently, like in early 2010s, as even 2007 or that. But okay, there is even this type of scam that was I wasn't even aware of. Um, Kobo, I
That
swear, have you ever heard of Sugar Mama or Sugar Daddy?
I heard of the name, but I never knew what it meant.
Well, okay, I can give you a brief what the Sugar Daddy is. Is basically if a young lady, like in her 20s or 18 years old, having an older man that spoils her with money, or not only money, but some things like handbags, trips, cruises, something like that. That is basically what Sugar Daddy is. But there is this Sugar Daddy's like Sugar Mama schemes as part of some sort of scam, including the one the Nigerian prince scam. Seriously. And I assume at least you guys had at least heard about it, but apparently most of my friends have been living on the rock with their lives. Huh. Even I heard of the Nigerian prince scam. Boy, you guys are really out of date. Oh man. Oh man. Yeah, yeah. but but basically, if you guys ever see a call that's asking for money or something like that, if you're doing it as a scam, especially if it's an overcall, an overseas call like that, yeah, hang up immediately. If especially if it's a pyramid scheme, that's another thing. Don't fall for it. There is it's even like say but that's also like uh okay, you may heard of this cults. That's also very dangerous. There is this one. Okay, it's not necessarily just being American religion. Scientology, Scientology has been referred as a cult. Many prominent people, actors, politicians can be part of that. Like John Travolta is a member of that church, and many people calling it as a cult, brainwashing people. There was actually this one story of a young man who was, well, he felt depressed, and one day when he was walking by this local Scientology church building, have a sign outside saying free Scientology test, and first they had to be watching this half an hour long video, or some sort of movie, or and then he had to take this test. There were like I think it was like 500 questions or something. There was at least a number of questions that you had to answer, and then you had to sit down and wait um, for the test being you're giving the results of the test even the same day. So basically, this guy, I think he was like 18,
We
20 years old or something.
Hi. Guys, I gotta go. I'm going to an ABBA concert. So yeah.
Sayonara, Mr. Lion.
That's his tradition.
Yep. So basically, this guy, um, he was just well, he went to the Scientology. He did receive the results back, and well, what happened? He was given books, and one of the people that was involved in this Scientology church kept in touch, or at least he kept in contact with him over by email. And after this guy read those books, and he started feeling very like this church was really got him, like they really understood his deep depression, and he started withdrawing himself from his parents, and they started wondering what was going on. And even though when he was talking to his parents, or at least his mother tried to talk to him, but he lashed out, like started yelling at her, which is something he has never done before. Like he started screaming at her, calling some bad names, like some of the curse words, like the B word and all, I think. And she was stunned. She was like horrified to see her young son, her young teenage son or young adult son has been changing. And even though that the fact that, but after he one day he came home, his parents had to sit down, kind of sort of intervention. They found the books in his room, and he felt that they had violated his privacy, or at least invaded his private space. And they just tried to talk to him um, about what has happened and try to understand what was going on. Well, eventually he broke down, telling that he had felt depressed, and his parents, that even before he went to the Scientology church, that he was also depressed, like I mentioned, and that his parents, they were clueless. They weren't even aware that their own son was depressed. If they had known, they probably would help him. Maybe try to get him for therapy or something. So after that, he started talking more to them, and he actually even managed to get some help. He went to therapy, and he talked to his dad. He appreciated the help that has been given there, but he's no longer going to be need their help. So he just simply told him that he's trying to work it out with his parents for his depression. And this guy, in his Scientology contact, he tried to reach out several times to email, tried to convince him that it was some sort of mistake, that the Scientology church was a better option for his help, that he would get much more better work, much more support from them, much more emotional support, even depressional support, and all that. So, I mean, since they apparently has much more resources, much more funds, they have better options. But he decided just ignoring this. But the contact, well, let's say he didn't take it kindly. He started sending more and more frequently, almost several more emails in a day. And well, and what happened, if I remember right, this young man, he simply just ignored him. And it happened that not only him, but there were other people involved in that church that sent some emails to this guy, trying to convince him. But in the end, it didn't happen. He started feeling much better after he got in therapy and all. And that's good. That's good. But this young man, he occasionally received an email from this Scientology church. And he felt that if his parents had not getting much involved, he would only getting deeper and deeper in this rabbit hole of the Scientology church. Many people are comparing to that as a cult. But personally, I don't know. I mean, I haven't even getting self involved with that church or anything, and honestly, do I even want to? I um I don't think so. I mean, I'm happy, even though I do suffer from depression from time to time. But do I even have to go there for some that? Not necessarily. I have my girlfriend's support, I have my friends' support, I have my family support, and I have my own ways to handle depression. So I don't even need for much for that. And do I recommend for my online friends all over the world and even all my viewers to simply stay away from the Scientology Church? If you're even a member already, telling them this is a cult and they should leave. It's up to them. It's up to all of my friends, all of my viewers, if they had considered to join the Scientology Church, or if they're already members of it, that if like say if Cody Lane was already part of that church already, and I was like, he is offended, like say I'm preferring that his church is a cult. Well, it is only by some of the stories I heard from what people is comparing it as a cult. I don't know. I mean, I have never even been myself involved in that, so I don't even know if it even would even be considered as a cult. It's the same thing as for many people that's Christianity. Many people has split off, formed their own smaller interpreted the message of Jesus, of God, like the last day of Jesus' days, or some reference like a that is a Christian group. There was even this man Jones, who literally established a small town in I think it was in Brazil, and he had a large number of followers, and he managed to convince all of them, all of them, to commit mass suicide, including young children. And this was like in the 70s. And I'm not saying this. If you really are considered being part of this one group of spread off from one of the different interpreted of this belief, sure. I mean, it's up to you if you really wanted to continue to follow that. It's up to you. I mean, but if other people have been comparing to this, well, this is like even this in in Utah. This this man named Warren, Jeffrey Warren or something, or at least at the name Warren, he he was leading this Christian group, and he is now in jail for the rest of his life. But he managed to operate a whole sect or a group of people in this interpreting of the Christianity. And well, basically, um, he had several wives. Some of them were not even, I don't even know how many wives he's supposed to have, but some of them were not like in their 20s, I think. And he even encouraged other males in this group or this society they established that men and women had different roles. Women were meant to serve the male. When the women had reached a certain age, I believe it was 13 or 14, they were meant to send off to get married. Well, talk to you next time, though, Cody. See ya. So yeah, it was just how determined this religion or what you call it. Well, I yeah. So basically, the people in that society, they were women was getting married at young age, and I was like, really? I don't even know. Anyways, are you guys even still there? All guy, and guy, are you even guys even there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Any ideas what we should do?
I don't know.
Are you eating?
No. I'm just existing.
Margaret, are you there? Margaret, you freaking green bean. You green popsicle. I don't even know what else to do. Keep talking and talking and talking. Honestly, though, I don't even know if this stream is gonna be kept or deleted. Just don't know.
Well, it's not like anything bad happened. It was just.
I don't know.
By the way, have you seen season 5 of Phineas and Ferb yet? Because I have.
What?
They made a season 5 of Phineas and Ferb.
Oh, you mean the new one? Yeah. Heard about it, but no. I have at the moment not seen it yet. I only know
I've
the
seen it.
fact
It's
that
really good, actually.
is it good or bad?
It is, in fact, good.
Well,
Just as good
only-
as, I'd say, like
the
season
only
3.
the only thing
Second.
yeah the only thing I know of from the new season, oh that's one that's only from the trailer that I seen is the Doofenshmirtz is going back to be evil. At least that he posts on the social media that he's being evil again, and that Cadence is trying to busting her brothers being to her parents, and yeah, that's just all how things are. That is all ever. But Phineas and Ferb there is actually some theories based on the fact that the whole series, or at least on the characters, like what happened to Phineas and Caden's actual father, and what happened to Ferb's mother, since Lawrence ended up marrying Linda at some point. And, well, it was never even explained in the written part of the early seasons to what happened to Ferb's mother or even Phineas' father. It was never even referenced to neither of them, or at least one I can think of, or at least that I remember. But now there's a new season that's being released, and that and Murphy's Law, that's another series, but it's surprising enough, literally is corresponds. Phineas and Ferb happens to appear in it, and since those series happen in the same town and they interact, and that the fact that for a brief time, Dr. Doofenshmirtz lives with Milos and his family in their backyard, and that is just really surprising and crazy. It is oh man, Phineas and Ferb series. It is actually surprising and really amazing. Despite it from being early 2010s or early 2000s when it was happened, Phineas and Ferb series is really amazing, especially when they meet this Star Wars reference, like Luke. Even though they had Luke, Leia, and even Darth Vader and all in that series, and that the Doofenshmirtz was a Sith Lord, and Ferb ended up being turned to the dark side, and that Cadence was a stormtrooper. Yeah, that was a really good special episode, and but yeah, there's a big mystery, like a big mystery. What happened to Phineas and Caden's father or their own dad, for example? It was never explained. I only know for a fact that Lawrence Ferb's dad marrying Phineas' dad mom at some point in their past, but it was never explained what happened to Phineas' dad or even Ferb's mom. At least they may actually had it been explained, but I don't even remember. This had been a while since I've seen the series. But this one episode where it's said to take place years later, when they're in like 18, the early 20s, when Phineas are going to college, and how he, how he and Isabella really for first time, well, technically the second time when they confess their feelings for each other, since in the first one when they had their confession, that memory was eventually erased from their minds due to the fact that the first memory and the first movie, The Second Dimension, it was amazing. But it's a bit of a bummer that they had to been erasing their memory. In that Stacy, Caden's friend, is the only one outside the family who still remembers that Perry is a secret agent of this secret organization. Oh man, Phineas and Ferb is a really amazing series. It's one of the top best Disney Channel series that has ever been made. I think from Kim Possible. But people, what do you think? What happened to Phineas and Caden's dad? If this that was ever mentioned in series, I don't know. But I think it's a really good series. And as Game Guy mentioned, that the new season has been released, and I'm actually I was aware that the new season is gonna be released sometime in June. I just hadn't even seen it. And though I don't even know if I do have Disney Channel on my TV, but if I do, I'm definitely gonna watch it. I just don't remember how many episodes in that's gonna be released. Let's see. Phineas and Ferb. Season 5? Is that one? Is the new one? Oh yeah, it's season 5. It's so far 10 episodes in that one. Let's see here. And it might even be more seasons. It just, let's see here. Mitchell Musso, who did not return to series, presumably due to legal issues, and the role of his character Jeremy Johnson was given an uncredited actor. Huh. Look at that. And there are even some guest stars that happen. Brendan Hunt, Michael Butley, Alan Cumming. Oh, I think I've seen most of him some other series.
Swedish, look us in comments.
Dashies, are you here? Wow, that's new.
Dude, I gotta be very careful walking around right now. I missed a huge fucking bug on a tree.
Dashi, if you want to join in the stream,
Holy shrimp on a stick. They skipped out on the 1.5.
Well, if that is Dashi, that depends also if someone just if there's someone pretends to be Dashi, which is well, I mean, you know, it has happened before. People playing, pretending to be one of our friends, just been saying it's just not accusing right now. It just it had happened before, and I just don't know. I just want to point it out. And I will be muted for a bit. Just going to grab something to eat since I start to shake. Like, it feels my blood sugar is a bit low, so I'm just grab something to eat.
Oh my lord. Game Guy, if I showed you these two planes that I just generate as images through purchase right now, you'd be like, holy shit.
What
I'll save them and share them with you in DM. Because they're both unique.
I'll see him after this. I'll probably see him after the stream then. You know how Phone Edition is. He'll probably not tell me.
Yeah, if that is Dashi, Malekith actually told me that some of the reasons why we haven't seen much of the Dashi lately on my streams or in my case on Facebook or Discord is that his Wi-Fi had been crappy, or just been pretty bad. Being more better words for it. It since Dashiell lives in the eastern or the western part of the country of the U.S., like in Colorado, it's a lot of mountains. So that might actually be the reason to his Wi-Fi just being not so good. But I haven't really talked to Dashing much lately, so I was surprised that he happened in the stream comments. Malakat, have you told him?
No.
Oh damn! But at least, I assume at least that he probably knows what happened. Game guy, is Triforce streaming today?
I think he might.
I have to ask you, since I know the fact that Malachite wanted to do the Super Millionaire afterwards, but since if he's streaming,
No, I
ask
said
her.
he might. I don't. He said he might cancel it, but like, I don't know if he is. I feel like if he would have, the stream wouldn't be there. Hold on.
Also, head up, game guy. I did send the pictures in your DM. I'm not sure if they've given you the ping yet.
I'm gonna hold on. I'll go check it out. I guess. Let me real quick see if the stream's still there. Yeah, it looks like he might do it. So I'm gonna say yes, but it might be a maybe.
Someone else is here, and it's not Dashi. Let's see.
Is it Lord of Syndicate?
No, it's someone who
Our Lord and Savior?
It's not Lord, but it's a person have been here a couple of times by now. It's I wouldn't have it to say it's not one of someone I would say as a friend. I mean, not as that someone has been in on Discord, not for those people, but it's Carlos Alessandro. If I pronounce the name right, it sounds almost like a Spanish name.
Hey guys.
I was gonna say Crystal, but I don't even know where the hell Crystal is. If I checked up on
What's
her,
up?
I don't say hi.
Okay.
How you doing?
Hey, good. Bye.
Is that something playing in your background? It sounds like it is.
No, bro, no, man.
So, how's summer been for you guys so far? Even though it's still early summer, but for me, it's the summer actually have been pretty good so far. It's decent, um, decent temperature. Today it have been around at least uh, around 86, 89 degrees, depends. But it's decent temperature. Actually, the Gen 2 router we had completely shut off. The router components blow up inside. It's been almost a year since we had ordered a new one, and we yet not received the new one yet. Wow, really, Dashi? You ordered one that the host family you live with ordered one a year ago and hasn't still even arrived? Wow, that's just that's totally blows. I mean, it's kind of like this, that kind of reminds me of the time that when my Fine Goddess sent a package to me one year, some years ago. It took almost 6 months for me to get it. It's possible that the package or this router that one of you ordered actually may have been lost in mail. Unfortunately, this happens.
Mm. I've been watching some insane videos. Like there's a YouTube channel called Underworld, and they'll show like things that occurred around people, like from earthquakes to tornadoes to you know, other sort of incidents. And one definitely caught my attention, and it was a machine at a local Russian steel mill that went full kamikaze Terminator, dumping hot molten metal all over the factory floor, saying workers running.
Wow. Okay.
I swear to you, you can actually hear him yelling and swearing in Russian.
I either swear or you speak Russian.
But though, how do you know that they are swearing in Russian?
Okay, I don't particularly know for sure, but the way they were yelling, they sounded like they were really pissed. They sound like they were swearing. So it's an assumption.
Well, yeah, makes sense.
If I
Though,
showed you the full video, you would be like, "What the hell?"
Mm-hmm. He said, yes, it's true. We use a Starlink Wi-Fi router, and Elon Musk has so much backlog. I don't know much but Elon Musk has a backlog. You know, speaking of Elon Musk, I actually heard this, and I don't even know if this is real, but he had been actually offered a political asylum in Russia, since he recently had been talking about bad things about Trump recently, and the fact that he had been trying to, or at least been trying to uh, to drag Donald Trump into court, the same type of court that he was in his first term. If you remember the Watergate scandal, that type of court that's like a natural, not the more Supreme Court, but more like the type of court um, that Richard Nixon could have been portal to. And even though Trump were in fact in his first term in that type of court, and he was found not guilty of all trials, of all charges, but now Musk wants to try to drag him to this type of court again for some crimes that he has supposed done. And yeah, I don't even know if that's even real. If it is, well, okay, I guess. I just don't read much news anymore. I did see that Iran literally bombed Israel with bombs recently, about a day ago, I believe, with some missiles, something like that, rockets, out of the blue. But again, I don't follow the news anymore. They just
Well, if you did
always.
follow the news through YouTube, you would know that Iran and Israel have been going at each other's throats with missiles.
But there's still so many. But the most of the news that I have been seeing on that there's most talk about is um, the Russo-Ukrainian war, what is that's called, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, which has been going on since 2021. What else? Well, of course, that about Trump. Yeah, that was pretty much what I have been heard. I don't even when I'm looking at my TV, I am not even watching any regular channels. The only thing when I start my TV, I immediately go to YouTube app on it to watch some YouTube. If some of my viewers, and including maybe is Malachite, if some of my fans may have been a Star Wars fan, if you have seen The Mandalorian, I can say right now, The Mandalorian series had been canceled, or at least been ended. Even though on Wikipedia, it says there's going to be a fourth season. But according to Wikipedia, Mandalorian ended 2023. And Ahsoka series is having a second season being prepared, but it just not have been given an official release date yet. And one of the actor, I believe, who played the character Baylan Skoll, another Jedi survivor, the actor died only about a year ago. So if his actor is going to return, or the character is going to return with the new character, don't know. But there's supposed to be the Mandalorian Grogu movie set to release sometime next year. Even then, supposed to be a new Star Wars movie about Rey Skywalker, set to run also next year. Exactly when and What it's about, no idea. All I know what is going to be that she is trying to rebuild the Jedi Order once again, but there are some forces trying to stop her, and that's it. They hadn't even revealed much about it.
Mm-mm.
Are your uncle playing Mario?
No, he's playing Animal Crossing Sea Folk.
Oh, the man, I could have showed him my Mario voice. Mamma mia. No, that's alright. He's probably heard it anyway.
Speaking of video games, are one of you guys up for doing a quiz based on video games?
What kind?
Any. Can be a reference to just perhaps about Mario games.
Do you not see the screen name that I have? I'm pretty sure I'm down for that.
You know, Srish, for years, I remember I played one particular game at my aunt's house, and I forgot what the name of it was until I recently saw it about a week ago through YouTube. It was Bomberman.
Yeah, I heard
I heard
it.
that game was good.
What game?
Bomberman. It was
Bomberman?
yeah, where you drop bombs and you're trying to
think
destroy
it was-
enemies around
what-
you, as well as breaking crates.
Malachi, what system was it on?
I forgot what my cousin Brandon had, but it was an old style, like maybe an 80s or 90s style.
Oh,
It was
that
probably the
game.
NES one then, or SNES.
Is it the guy who also looks like how he's wearing a suit, white, and looks like pink shoes, pink gloves, and all, and like an antenna on the head? Is that the one?
I'm honestly not sure. I think he kind of looks a little bit like Toad, from Mario, only in pixel tap form. Because I know he has like a white, cap that goes around his head, and he has two eyes.
It's like is the eyes like just two black lines, horizontal lines? Wait,
I don't know.
give me a second. Come on,
Okay.
come on. This computer is so slow. We're on StreamYard. Thank you. Let's go see here. I think it's gonna work. Yep. Okay, now I know where it is. Let's go see if I change the avatar. Let's go see here. There we go. Let's see. I really expecting that this might be the one. Let's go see. Let's go see here.
Because I was trying to remember for years what game series it was, but because I remember that one board required you moving along, destroying crates, but it also had like a moving idol that was moving back and forth. And it looked like an Easter Island head. It looked like one of them statues.
Is this Bomberman that we're talking about?
That's Bomberman.
Ever played the game? Never. I would
You mainly
I'm
gotta
gonna
drop
play this
crates
game
and
ever
bombs to
again.
destroy crates and enemies.
yeah, like I said, I never even played a game or um. There is this one channel, or at least well, actually, this channel does have these videos, Sonic for Hire. Bomberman happens to appearing in one of those, and I wasn't even aware um, the name of the character, what game it were. I only saw him, but I never even. But I never played a game though. Bomberman.
Yeah, I agree too.
It was released since 1983. This original home computer game.
Yeah, older computer game, everything like check out the internet phone, internet explorers, like um, I'm not too sure how.
Used to been asking Game Guy Malaka, do you know what
see the
picture that Carlos has using? About who that
I'm
is?
usually from Mr. Bean cartoon. You know, Mr. Bean animated series is like his favorite show of all time.
Oh yeah,
You know,
I
the
honestly do not know.
show.
I honestly do
you
not know
know
what
what
don't know.
Carlos's profile is.
that Mr. Bean from England.
Yeah,
He
an
drive
animated
this.
series.
He's driving this like a Mini Cooper green car and has a teddy bear as a friend. Yeah, I actually they um, they actually had this a live action show about that many years ago for a long time, and they actually made it as a cartoon. But the fact that the cartoon style one, he doesn't speak much, but in the cartoon version of this series, there is this car that always end up driving in the river or something, a blue three-wheel
Yeah.
car.
I really know that. I really know that
uh,
Mr. Bean calls just like the blues called her to chase her to fall down, and the old ladies know Mr. Wicked. He have a cat because Mr.
oh
Bean
yeah,
Eminent series. Yeah, you know the season one I think ended with 2004, and Bonnie series two came on 2015, and the Bonnie series four came out in 2012. It's the truth.
yeah. They actually and in this, I believe in the original and also the cartoon style that he has a girlfriend and she even has a teddy bear. In that cartoon version, there is one episode I remember that he had invited his girlfriend over for dinner,
Like a fucking
and but unfortunately that something happened. He was trying to cook pasta like spaghetti in a bathtub by using dozens of small candles under beneath it.
Oh yeah. I remember the episode like Mr. Bean had to make the spaghettis, and then he
Yeah.
put his spoon in his box, and he found out the bird that dies and spread out the spaghetti is
Oh
gone.
yeah,
And
the
what
yeah
happened? He
yeah
brought
the
out all the
pigeon.
bird, you know,
Yeah, he
blew
took
it
this
up.
pigeon. Yeah, he took the pigeon, and but he realized it was so small it wouldn't even be enough for even for two people to eat. So he took like a bike pump to make it bigger and used a cork inside to make it. And when he was about to cut it, it either blew up or blew out in front of the window. I mean, that series was actually funny though, even though he didn't speak much, but it's still funny. Um,
Yeah.
they actually made one movie, actually two movies of him as a live action. The first one when he is actually in the US for as a Polspian art uh, expert, and even that the contact that he has for in that movie, American Contact, he ended up having to be in a hospital, and that Mr. Bean ended up being the surgeon, even though he isn't even medical trained at all. And like when he flicked, and he even flicked the middle finger to some bikers, like, and smiled like like hi, they waving at his hand or something. I mean, that was just Mr. Bean. Yeah, he is a comedy treasure. And the second one that he is when he goes to France for vacation. Um, can I? So that the small harbor town that's very famous for movie festivals. Um, I saw the second one, but it wasn't with the same feeling as much as the first one. It just sometimes it wasn't the same. But the first one, when he was American, and that the painting, he actually transported a painting to the US, and it got the labels got ruined, but he painted an exact copy by using different methods. Like how? And I mean, he wasn't the one. In fact, that he was supposed to be played as a surgeon, and it didn't work. I mean, that surgery wouldn't have succeeded, but he is not a painter or even a surgeon. I mean, it's just, Mr. Bean. You can never even get the much. The one who played Mr. Bean, he also have been other sketches. Um, I think there was one was called Black Omen or something. And yeah, he
I
is.
guess.
But he is a good actor. It's just wow.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd agree too. We'll just change my article to. Bye. Hi. Don't care. Bye.
Right?
I like my undertale. This is like a text like Bobby Weezer Bob, you know.
Wow, 2 hours already.
2 hours?
Yeah, the stream has been going on for 2 hours.
I can remember one other game I liked playing at my aunt's house was Midnight Club LA. It was interesting when you're doing like the free running and you get to be like pulled over and you want to face the music of a ticket or you want to take off in a chase. And I would particularly do that. I can remember playing it one time New Year's Eve, and I'm just zooming around the city, and I got an audience watching me, and I'm in a police chase. I lose the cops briefly, and as I'm on the highway bit, I think it was far left or far right, one of those corners of the map. I go in between two tractor trailers. I'm in the middle lane of a 3-lane highway stretch, and there's a cop on a road below, and somehow he sees me through the road and flashes his light saying, I got him. I got him. And I'm like, you dumbass. You Do you have night vision goggles powers that I don't know about? I swear to God. And then I watched the most greatest glitch. I'm still in between these two trucks, and then this cop comes running after me out of nowhere. I go in front of the truck on the right. The cop clipped the bumper, and he went barrel roll flying, and he eventually went over the side. I like, bye, dumbass.
Oh man. Well, maybe I think maybe it's time to end the stream soon. I usually don't go for more than 2-3 hours, depending on what it is we're doing.
Also, if you want to join in the Millionaire Super Millionaire Carlos, you're welcome to, because it's just a little fun game we do afterwards.
Yeah, I think it's probably time to end here anyways. Oh, right on, Carlos. Well, it's been fun though, this stream. For at least one start dashing, came back in the comments. It's a sign that he's still alive. So well, until next time, will be next week. And that is, let's see when that will be. The June 21st. That's gonna be fun though. And maybe we can do a game show stream sometimes by the end of the month. So
yeah, I'm still coming up. I'm still working on questions of my Dragon City quiz. Yeah, I'm still working on it. Honestly.
That'll be what? A year? 2 years?
No.
Are we still doing the Millionaire afterwards?
Depends.
Alright. Well, everyone, it has been fun though. So, as always, this is Switch Diablo signing off. Bye.
Bye. And goodbye for Game Guy.